Very good morning, children. Welcome to SVS e-learning class. This is your social subject teacher Firoz Khan from Srividya High School. The previous class we have completed Indo-Gangetic Plain, Himalayas, and also we have completed the Peninsular Plateau. Okay. So in the part of the Peninsular Plateau, we needed to study one more topics, that is Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. So today is already we know that the eastern and the western border of the Peninsular Plateau, that is Eastern Ghats at east, Western Ghats at west. So this is one of the important features of the Peninsular Plateau. So that's the reason we should be study the Eastern Ghats and Western Ghats separately. Okay. So today we are going to study the difference between Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. Okay, children. Okay. Let's look the topics. Okay, here is the Western Ghats as well as Eastern Ghats. So you can see here the portion which is I drawn as the green color, that is Western Ghats, here it is, and the portion which is I drawn with the green pen at this side, this is the Eastern Ghats. Already we know that in the west Western Ghats and east Eastern Ghats. Okay, children, very good. Okay, now here I given some points also I point out that here for your easy to understand, and also I did not write all the points. I written the points in the shorter way, so try to understand these points, and also you also note down the points, then easy to remember. Okay, because these points are available in textbook but it's not in the proper manner. So if you study here, then easy to remember. And today homeworks also, this only early I am saying you should write this question in the classwork, not in the fair notes. In the classwork you have to write the difference between Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. You have to write the difference between Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. So if you want to write those questions, you needed to observe those points here I am saying carefully and note down roughly in your classwork. Okay, children? Okay, so let's start our topic. So the first point we can say the Western Ghats, okay, the Western Ghats lies parallel to the Western Coastal Plain. So here you can find the Western Coastal Plain, which are I shaded with the blue ink. Okay, the blue ink I shaded, that is the Western Coastal Plain. Got it or not? Okay, Western Coastal Plain. So how we can say the first point? The Western Ghats lies parallel. Parallel means you know already, these are the parallel lines. So this line is parallel to these lines, already we know, same as that. Okay, so Western Ghats lies parallel to the Western Coastal Plain. So you can say easily Eastern Ghats also. So Eastern Ghats lies parallel to the Eastern Coastal Plain. Got it, children? So very easy. So we are studying this topic by comparison. So easy to remember, easy to study. Got it, children? So the first point we understood, Western Ghats lies parallel to the Western Coastal Plain. Eastern Ghats lies parallel to the Eastern Coastal Plain. Got it, children? Okay, yes. So the next point, it extend from, okay, the Western Ghats extend from south of the river Tapti. Already we know this is the river Narmada. Okay, this is the river Narmada. Already before topic we have completed. And the south of river Narmada, there is another one river that already I said, Tapti. Sometimes it is said Tapati also, will call T-A-P-A-T-I, Tapti. T-A-P-A-T-I, Tapti. Okay, so it extends from south of the river Tapti to Kanyakumari. Okay, it extends from south of the river Tapti to Kanyakumari. Which one? Western Ghats. So we got Western Ghats extend from south of river Tapti to Kanyakumari. Then now let's look the extension of the Eastern Ghats. Yes, Eastern Ghats extend from south of the river Mahanadi. Already we studied here the river Mahanadi moves here. Yes or not? Okay, so this is the river Mahanadi. Already we completed yesterday topics. Okay, so south of the river Mahanadi, south of the river Mahanadi to Nilgiri Hills. Here this Nilgiri Hills also yesterday we point out that here it is here Nilgiri Hills. Okay, children. Nilgiri Hills. So we got the Eastern Ghats extend from south of river Mahanadi to Nilgiri Hills. Western Ghats extend from south of river Tapti to Kanyakumari. Eastern Ghats extend from south of river Mahanadi to Nilgiri Hills. Nilgiri Hills. Got it, children? Okay, very good. So the next point, it cover the distance. Which one? The Western Ghats cover the distance. How many? Around 1600 kilometer. The Western Ghats cover the distance around 1600 kilometer. The Eastern Ghats cover the distance around 450 kilometer. So remember, this is cover the distance around 1600 kilometer, and the Eastern Ghats cover the distance around 450 kilometer. Got it, children? Okay, we have completed the 3 points. So the next point we understood, it is the continuous chain of hills. Okay, which one? The Western Ghats is a continuous chain of hills with few passes. What do you mean by passes? We know if the mountains are there, if these mountains are there, we want to be cross the mountain. If you want to be cross the mountain, if it is a smaller area, we can cross it. But a huge mountain is very risky to cross. So there needed some small gap, with passes. Okay, so those passes are available in the Western Ghats. Okay, so those passes I am just writing here, you can understand. So one more standard point, the Western Ghats are a continuous chain of hills. They are a continuous chain of hills with a few passes. Continuous chain of hills with a few passes, such as the first passes we can understand, Talcut. The pass's name Talcut. Nearby the Tapti river only we can find Talcut. The second passes here I am writing Borcut. Okay, yes, Talcut, and the second passes in the Maharashtra region you can find Borcut. What it is? Borcut, and another one is Palcut. In Kerala region we can find Palcut. Okay, so the Palcut this time writing here. Okay, listen. Okay, so how can we say the point of this? We can say that Western Ghats are continuous chain of hills with few passes. They are Talcut, Borcut, Palcut, etc. Talcut, Borcut, Palcut, etc. Got it, children? Yes. This is, now in the picture only we can understand, I have drawn also, there is a gap between each hills or each mountain. Okay, so we can say this is Eastern Ghats are a discontinuous chain of hills. Eastern Ghats are a discontinuous chain of hills. So that also one of the reason when we study the coastal plain, we will get some idea from here. Listen careful, children. There is more gaps between these mountains. So that is the reason Eastern coastal plain. Okay, Eastern coastal plain is very broad. Here you can see I blue color shaded also. In the Western coastal plain I shaded as a smaller, but in the Eastern coastal plain I shaded as a broader. So why Eastern coastal plain are broader? Because the Eastern Ghats are a discontinuous chain of hills. So that also you can write in the class of separate question like why Eastern coastal plain is broader than Western coastal plain, because the Eastern Ghats are a discontinuous chain of hills. Eastern Ghats are a discontinuous chain of hills, and it gives more space to enter the coastal plain. Okay, so when we study the coastal plain, this related much about it will be studied. Don't worry. Okay, now here we can understand Eastern Ghats are a discontinuous chain of hills. Discontinuous chain of hills. Okay, so next point, the Western Ghats are higher than the Eastern Ghats. Western Ghats are higher than the Eastern Ghats. So here also one question we can find. We know that already we studied yesterday. In the Peninsula Plateau, the rivers flows from west to east. And I said already, because the topography of the Peninsula Plateau is slightly tilted towards east. Yes or not? Already we studied. Now another one question comes, why the peninsular plateau has its topography slightly tilted towards east. So look at the question 2 variation. First question we said about why the rivers from the peninsular plateau flows from west to east, and we said answer because the topography of the peninsular plateau is slightly tilted towards east. Now the question, why the topography of the peninsular plateau is slightly tilted towards east? So here are the answer for that question. The answer is because the height of the western Ghats is very high than the eastern Ghats. So it creates a slope. Okay, the height of the western Ghats are higher than the eastern Ghats, so they create a slope. Due to this slope, the topography of the peninsular plateau is slightly tilted towards the east. Got it, children? Okay, very good. So here we understood it is higher than western Ghats are higher than the eastern Ghats. Now this is opposite point. Eastern Ghats are lower than the western Ghats. Okay, eastern Ghats are lower than the western Ghats. Got it, children? Okay. So the next point we know its average elevation. Okay, the average elevation of the western Ghats is above 2000 meter from the sea level. Okay, so average elevation how much? 2000 meters above from the sea level. It's the average elevation 2000 meters above from the sea level, and its average elevation 900 meters above from the sea level. 900 meters above from the sea level. Got it? Okay. Now we can find the highest peak. Okay, the highest peak in western Ghats. This point is very very important. Carefully understand, children. The highest peak in western Ghats is Anemudi. Remember what is that one? Anemudi in Anemale Hills. What is it? Anemudi in Anemale Hills, around 2695 meter. Okay, so it's a height how much? 2695 meter. It is located in Tamil Nadu. Which state it is in? Tamil Nadu. Okay, here we can find Anemale and Anemudi. So here just this is Anemale. Anemale upward will be Nilgiri Hills. Okay, so here Anemale and Anemale top areas Anemudi. Okay, here I am written Anemudi. And Anemale Hills also, those region only we can find, because Anemudi, remember Anemudi is located at Anemale Hills. Anemudi is located at Anemale Hills, which is the highest peak in Western Ghats. It is the highest peak in Western Ghats. Got it, children? Let's look how the name Anemudi got for this Anemale Hills. Once look at here, children. The Anemudi, this is the Anemudi peak. So if you observe the top of the Anemudi, it's the same as looks the head of a elephant. So the word Ane, it is the Tamil language, means elephant, and the Mudi means hair. So elephant's hair. So if you from far away, if you look at Anemudi peak, it looks the same as the hair on the head of the elephant. So that reason which is called as Anemudi. Okay, listen. Here we can see the pictures also. It's all not, children? Okay, good. So which is the highest peak in Western Ghats? Anemudi in Anemale Hills. Anemale Hills. And also question asked, which is the highest peak in South India? Your answer should be Anemudi in Anemale Hills. Okay or not? Okay. And the second highest peak we can find that is Dodda Beta. Remember Dodda Beta. Okay. Dodda Beta. Doddabetta. Dodda Beta. Remember Dodda Beta. 2637 meter. 2637 meter. Dodda Beta. Dodda Beta. It is the second highest peak in South India. Second highest peak in South India. Remember, Anemudi, where it is located? Anemale. Now Dodda Beta, where it is located? Dodda Beta in Nilgiri. Dodda Beta in Nilgiri. Carefully understand, children, the question here. Question asked, which is the highest peak in South India? What will you write? You should write Anemudi. Okay. Next, which is the second highest peak in South India? What will you write? Dodda Beta. Dodda Beta. Now question, which is the highest peak in Nilgiri Hills? What will you write? You should be write Dodda Beta. Because Dodda Beta is located at Nilgiri Hills. Nilgiri Hills only who locating? Dodda Beta. Okay, which beta? Dodda Beta. Got it, children? So the Dodda Beta is located at Nilgiri Hill. So here the question all very carefully understand, children. The highest peak in South India, Anemudi. Highest peak in Nilgiri, Dodda Beta. Second highest peak in South India, Dodda Beta. Highest peak in Western Ghats, Anemudi. Got it, children? And also the famous hill station Ooty or Udagamandalam. Ooty or Udagamandalam also found here. Udagamandalam also found. Now Udagamandalam, Ooty is located also in Nilgiri. Okay. Remember, Ooty also in a Nilgiri. Ooty also in Nilgiri. Got it, children? Around 2000 meter height in how? Ooty. Okay, so there we can find Ooty also. Got it, children? So just when we study the map pointing, we will get to this position all very accurately. Now just approximate I am just making to understand. Okay, when we study the map pointing, we will be gather this all the information very accurate. Now just approximately I give in the position of these areas. Got it, children? Yes. Okay. So we understood about. Now that is opposite point. Here highest peak Anamudi. Then highest peak in Eastern Ghats Aromakonda. Remember what is that one? Aromakonda. Which Konda? Aromakonda. In which place? Chindapalli district in Vizag or Visakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh. Visakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh. Got it, children? So, which is the highest peak in South India? Yes, Anemudi. Which is the highest peak in Western Ghats? Yes, Anemudi. Which is the second highest peak in South India? Dodda Beta. Okay. And which is the highest peak in Nilgiri Hills? Dodda Beta. Okay. Which is the highest peak in Eastern Ghats? Aromakonda. Aromakonda. Got it, children? Okay. I hope you all understood well. Any doubt you can ask me. Okay. Yes. Good. Now the important hills such as Palani. Palani also. This all the hills are very near. It is we can find it. Palani. Okay. So Palani. So Palani hills in Tamil Nadu. And very important hills that is Cardamom. Cardamom. Remember, here it will come Cardamom hills. Cardamom. Cardamom. Cardamom hills. What the hills name? Cardamom hills at Kerala. So the important hill stations such as Palani hills in Tamil Nadu, Cardamom hills in Kerala also found Western Ghats. Found at Western Ghats. So now let's look what are the hill stations are found in the Eastern Ghats. Okay, the hill station, the important hill stations such as Nallamala, Velikonda, Palakonda, Seshachalam, etc. are found in the Eastern Ghats. These hills are mostly found in the Kadapa and Kurnool districts of the Andhra Pradesh. Mostly these hill stations are found in the Kadapa. Okay, which are the region? Kadapa and Kurnool. Kadapa and Kurnool region we can find these hill station. Got it or not? Kurnool. Okay, in Andhra Pradesh. Which are the hill station? Nallamala, Velikondas, Palakondas and Seshachalam. This region we can find in the Kadapa and Kurnool region we can find. Got it, children? Okay, so these are the information we can get from the Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. Okay, now we can be covered, we can get accurately as a question answer study, we can just look in. Before I explained it, now we can see the point. So the first point, very easy. The Western Ghats lies parallel to the Western Coastal Plain. Eastern Ghats lies parallel to the eastern coastal plain. It extends from south of the river Tapti to Kanyakumari. It extends from south of the river Mahanadi to Nilgiri Hills. It's covered the distance 1600 km. It covered the distance 450 km. Got it, children? Yes. And it is a continuous chain of hills with a few passes such as Talkat, Borkat, Palkat, etc. It is the discontinuous chain of hills with a broad coastline. Okay, it is a discontinuous chain of hills with a broad coastline. That point also you can mention here. Okay, broad coastline. Okay, it is a discontinuous chain of hills with a broad coastline. Got it, children? Yes, and it's an average. Okay, it is higher than the Eastern Ghats. Western Ghats is higher than the Eastern Ghats. Eastern Ghats is lower than the Western Ghats. Its average elevation is above 2000 meter from the sea level. Its average elevation is 900 meter above from the sea level. Highest peak of the Western Ghats is Anamudi in Anamale Hills in Tamil Nadu, 2695 meters. And second highest peak is Dodabeta, which is in Nilgiri Hills, 2637 meter. And the famous hill station Uti Udagamandalam also found here. The highest peak in Eastern Ghats is Aromakonda in Chindapalli districts of Visakhapatnam. And other important hill stations such as Palani and Cardamom. Palani Hills in Tamil Nadu, Cardamom Hills in Kerala are found here. And the important hill stations such as Nallamala, Velikondas, Palakondas and Seshachalam are found here, which is mostly covered in the districts of Kadapa and Kurnool of Andhra Pradesh. Got it, children? So here we are understood the difference between Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. So I hope you understood well, children. So today your homework is this: write this question in the class for difference between Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats, and just write a test of this question. I hope this is very easy question. You can write, and my student will write, I hope, and in front of the parent just send the voice message of parent and write this question as the slip test and send it to me. Okay, children? Okay, that's all for today's class, children. Today topic is very small and you can learn well, and next class we will study about the Eastern Coastal Plain, Western Coastal Plain and Thar Desert and islands. Okay, thank you so much. Take care.